Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today we have our next edition of Tips and Tricks with Patrick DuChene. And today we're really going to save some time. He's got some real interesting things to show us, some stuff that he's learned recently and some things that he's been doing for quite some time. So today we are going to be covering, well, first of all, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. So we're going to have some question and answer period at the end of the session. So today's session is going to be about a half an hour, and we'll allow for about 5 or 10 minutes of some questions. And so please ask your questions. There's a questions section, so please put them there, and I'll be monitoring them throughout the webinar. And at the end of the session, we'll definitely get Patrick to answer as many as he possibly can. We are recording this session, so for anyone that has to drop out for whatever reason or wasn't able to make it live, we are recording it, and we will post it to our website at dynaescape.com under articles and videos. So today, we're covering how to offset figures along a virtual line tool, resizing prototype text, inserting half-inch text, grid prototypes for base sheet sketches, and Patrick tells me that he's going to blow some minds with a new way to draw curved walks and bed lines. So let me pass this over to Patrick, and we can then get him to show us all this great stuff. Hey, Patrick, are you there?
Yeah, Joe, I'm here.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud.
Okay, good.
Thanks for doing this for us today. We know you got some great things to show us. Everybody is waiting out there to see what you got.
Okay, cool. I have a couple of cool things to go over. Like you said, some things I've learned and kind of something that clicked in my head of how to do something a little bit different than normal. But I want to go over just something really quick as a review, because I had a couple emails this week about this for building walls along a property or that were fieldstone and that were boulders, and how you do that quickly. So I did it in another webinar where it was the webinar where I showed how to do curved walkways, which I'm actually going to change that way now today. But it's offsetting figures along the line, and it's a pretty simple feature where like if I wanted to do a rock wall along the line, what I'll do is I'll select the rocks that I want to use, or boulders, which I like these. So I'll just select like this. Actually, boulders isn't the best thing to use because we don't want it stamped. We don't want it the same thing. Let's use like a boxwood. So let's do a 30-inch wide boxwood. So we'll just place this boxwood out in space. We make sure our copy is on, and we go over to the tool here that says offset figures along an existing line. So if we click that and we set how far apart we want to set those, and I left click this and I left click this, it's a very, very fast way to create a boxwood hedge. So then you just go in and you get rid of your line. Then you can go and you can group all those boxwoods. And then you can go in and label all those boxwoods. So we could make them winter gem and label them. So pretty quick. It works along any line. So if I wanted to do a boxwood hedge along this kind of, that line, I would do the same thing. I would go grab my boxwoods. Let's do them 4 foot. Sit that there. Go grab the tool, and let's set those apart like 3 feet. Click the boxwood with the left click. Click this with the left click. So those are obviously way too close. So then I'm just going to back that out, and I'm going to go maybe 3.5 feet. Offset. Click once. Click that. That looks much better. So Pretty easy way to do that. So this is a nice way if you were to have like a foundation of a house that was kind of mirrored that, you could find how far away you wanted the centers of the boxwoods to be. So you could kind of give yourself a measurement of 2 foot. So then you could just offset your foundation of your house 2 feet and then run your boxwood hedge. So what that does is that saves you from, if I didn't use this tool and I delete all these boxwoods, the other way to do it would be to place these on here and then just really copy these down and hope that you've got them all spaced out correctly. So that's a review on the offset figures along a line. So the next thing is resizing prototype text. This is something that I just kind of learned a couple months ago because it was brought up in a previous webinar, and I really never had the need to do it, but it's a really cool thing to be able to do. So if we have a drawing that's, let's change this to, okay, that's what I want, 24 by 36. If we go grab a 24 by 36 inch title block template, and we go to type in like the project name, which is, let's put landscape master plan. We've run out of room. Even like on drawn by, if you have a really long name, let's put Patrick Joseph DuChene, and we insert that. We've run out of room. So there's a way to work around this. Normally, you could go and you could resize text, but you kind of have to go about it a kind of a workaroundish kind of way. So if you control click on this text and click this button, it tells you that the width and height of that text is set at 4 feet. So what I'll do is I'm just going to make myself a quick little note next to that, just to remind myself the height of that. So when I adjust it, I know whether I need to adjust up or down. So to get to this tool, you're going to right-click in any of these blue boxes, the blue area of these toolboxes, and you're going to go to Revise Entities. And in Revise Entities, if you read this, it says Revise Text Node Attributes. That's the tool you're going to want. So first, we want to go up to Entity and Display, and we want to highlight Nodes. What nodes are, as you can see right there, they're placeholders that whenever you enter text into any of these fields, they populate. So anytime if I were to type in state, I put Ohio, that's going to populate there. So let's resize that. So this shows us where the nodes are. So let's, this one. Yes. So we're going to double click on this, and let's put in maybe 3 feet. Let's reduce the size of landscape master plan to 3 feet. So we're going to go into that node, and we're going to left click. It's going to highlight blue, and then I'm going to right click, and you can see it resizes itself. If I had, so like on this one, I want to reduce that text size. I could also just put P DuChene and make it really easy. But let's say we want to reduce all those text sizes at once. So let's go in and put scale 1 inch equals 10. Let me turn my Dropbox off here. Exit. Okay. 1 inch equals 10. Drawn by, checked by, let's say Joe Salemi checked it. Hopefully he approves it. Let's put January 9, 2015. Okay. Those texts look fine to me. But let's say you wanted a tiny bit larger text. So first I want to go in and I want to see what size text that is. So all I'm doing is control click, left click on the text. And when I click this little A, it tells me it's 1'6". So if I close out of these and I double click this, let's put maybe 1.75 foot and then 1.75 feet. So now I want to click, oops, you want to click the node. So let's go 1.75, 1.75, enter. So let's click this one. Whoops. Hold on a minute. Not on the right one. 1.75, 1.75, enter. Okay. Click this one, that one, this one, and this one. And when I right click, watch what happens. They kind of change one at a time. So they've all changed. So that text is a little bit bigger. That works. So let's practice it one more time. Let's make that 3.5 feet. Make it, let's see if we can fill the whole space without going over. So let's left click and right click. So that's perfect. That's pretty good. So that is revising node text. So pretty cool. The next thing I want to show is just how to insert half-inch text. So if I were to draw a line, obviously you can put 1 foot and draw a 1 foot line. You can put 1'8" and you can draw a 1'8" line. But to draw one, let's say 6.5 inches, or let's say 1 foot, 6, then you're going to put space 1 divided by 2, enter. There is a line that's 1'6.5". So again, we'll do another one. Let's make one a little bit longer. Let's do 40 feet, 40 foot, 3 space 3 divided by 8. There's 40 foot 3 3/8. So now if I go check and make sure I did that okay, or did that correctly, I measure it and I get 40 foot 3 3/8. So that's all you do with half-inch, quarter-inch, 8, whatever you want to do. So the next topic is grid prototypes. This is something that I kind of came up with a company in Virginia, and we were working through how to make it easier for designers, people going out on estimates, to come back with a base sheet or a dimensions to do a drawing, to make it easier in the field, a little bit more accurate, and then easier for people back in the office to understand what's going on. So we developed what we kind of coined a base grid, and let me show you what that is. You know, we all have base sheets where we have the footprint of the house, the walkway, the drive that we're going to work with, and then we have graph paper that we can use to draw that on. But why not put our graph paper on our sheet and float in the survey or the base sheet right on the drawing, so we can take that out to do our measurements. So I'm going to walk you through the process. So let's save this drawing as, put it on the desktop, base grid. What you'd want to do if you were doing this in real life, you would put 24 by 36, 1 to 10 base grid. And you can set those up for different scales and different sheet sizes depending on what size the job is. So first I'm going to draw myself a couple lines. Let's draw it first in the walkway layer, and we want to have our base grid fill almost our sheet, but not all of it. So we have some room down at the bottom to put notes. You could even make this look nice by making yourself kind of a like this. You could put notes. Let's make the text a little bit bigger. Let's go like 5 and 5 right there. So you could save this eventually as a prototype, which I would recommend. Let's center this so it looks like we planned this out nicely. Okay, so we have an area for notes that you could draw any kind of special things you see out on the site. Now what I want to do is make a grid. So let's extend this up, and I'm going to measure. I have another toolbar sitting here. I don't need that one. We're going to measure these two lines. This one here is 270 feet. So I'm just going to give myself a little cheat measurement here next to this so I know how many feet that is, because I'm going to want to know that. Then this line here is 170 feet. So let's put a cheat number here of, well, what was that again? 170, I think it was. Yeah, 170. So let's do 170 feet. And let's put that over here. Okay, what I'm going to do is make what's called a Cartesian array. So I'm going to click on my advanced toolbar, and I'm going to click this button right here, construct a Cartesian array. What I want to do is create a grid that has multiples of 10-foot and 1-foot boxes to help us measure a site. So first, across the bottom, let's do our, what layer am I on? I'm on Walkway. Okay, I want my bold, I want the 10-foot lines to be on the bolder side. So let's do X columns. That's going to be left to right. So if that's 270 feet, I'm going to need 27 columns 10 feet apart. So I'm going to left click this line and right click. So there's all of my 10-foot sections. And if I go in and measure those are 10 feet. Now I want to do 10 foot from here up. So I'm going to go back to my Cartesian array. Now on the y-axis, I want 17 columns at 10-foot spacing. So then I'm going to left click this and right click. So right now I have a really nice grid that I could put that I could use for measuring. But I want to take it a step further, and I want 1-foot increments too. So let's go back. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to revise this and this to border. You can see the difference in line weight. I revised it to border because these lines are generated off the copying of these. So I want to copy a border layer. So let's click this again. And now at the bottom, I'm going to need 270 of those. So I'm going to click along the X, 270, and I want them 1 foot apart. I'm going to left click and I'm going to right click. And then I'm going to do the same thing across, or for the columns. I'm going to do 170, and I want those 1 foot. And I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to left click and right click. So now what we have, even though you can't see it real well on this, it prints real nicely. We have where we could count off 10 spaces over to our thick line for measurements. So now let's just save this. Now let's say we were able to get a survey. So let's just float our survey over here. And this is just a real quick review. We're going to resize our survey. Click this property line. We're going to click this property line. And just real quick, I'm going to trace this survey. So let's first select our property line and go outside here. Okay, there's our property. Let's zoom in. Let's go to our building line. And let's trace our house. I'll just cut this straight across just to make it quicker. We'll close this. Let's do the driveway real fast. Let's go to the drive layer. Oops, I really should use inference down here. Oops, delete out, go back to the last step, go over here. Okay, all right, that's good enough. Let's just put the garage on there. Go to our building. Let's just make this a square garage, like this. Okay, so there's our survey, or our base sheet of what we would want to take out in the field. If we know that there's air conditioners, let's just throw a couple of those really quick. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to float this on my grid, just like that. And then I didn't bend that driveway in. Let's bend that driveway in. Then it's not. There we go, kind of like that. Okay, so now what do we have? We have our property and everything we have to work with on our grid. So now when we're out in the field, if we want to measure off, they want a pool and they want it to be 10 feet off the back of the property, we can go in and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We can count over. If we have this is where this I think would be really, really helpful. Let's say they have these trees out here that we want to locate. Let's get rid of that because I'm going too quickly. And we want to locate those trees. All you need to do is measure off of maybe the back corner. So let's say it's 15 feet back and 30 feet over. You know, you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just pretend this is 15. Now, let's say 10, 20, 21, 22. Let's pretend it's maybe 22 feet here and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 feet there. So I can take this tree, and if that's where I just said, we can put trees and utilities and septic tanks and all that site stuff exactly where it needs to go. So once you get back to your office, you're going to have something. Let's save this on the desktop as Beekman base grid. We're going to save, select landscape 24 by 36. And when you get back to the office, you're going to have this sheet that has exactly where these trees are supposed to go. Then what you're able to do is you could bring this sketch back in to your drawing. Let's let that generate. You can resize this and you can draw right on top. So if this was resized, if I go and measure this house length, whoops, this house length is 66 feet. So if I go here and I revise the length of that one to 66 feet, I can very quickly now insert all of my existing conditions trees on my survey. That's a different figure. So this is a really awesome way to get site measurements. You can do a really quick sketch on here to give an idea to your designer what you want, and it can be pretty darn close to what you want this to look like. So that's a grid base. So the last thing I want to show is curved bed lines. So let's just close this out, and I'm going to start a new drawing. one of the most frequent questions that I get, and we get, I think, is how to draw bed lines, how to draw curved walkways. So in one of the webinars, I showed how I use circles to do that, which is great because it gives you nice radii, but I'm going to just throw this out there and see what you guys think if this is even easier. Let's say we have this house. Let's pretend this is the driveway. So actually, let's use a real survey for this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's bring in this survey because this is a really good thing to work with. Float this out here. Let's resize this. 199. Out there. Let's just really quickly trace the house. Building layer. I'm going to really simplify the house. Okay, there's the house. Okay, let's do the walkway here. We'll just include the steps and the walk and this front porch all together, so it's nice and simple. Jump over here and the walk. Let's make our drive. Let's just run this line out here. Give ourselves a property line. So we'll go to this. Just run this over here. Up here. Like this. Okay. Let's make the survey invisible. Okay. For some reason my driveway didn't show up, so let's put it back in. Drive. Okay. There's our driveway. Okay. Let's say we want to put a bed, you know, the normal bed you put kind of on the corner, but let's make it bend out, give us a nice area for a tree here. And then maybe we want to come off of this with a bed that curves around to the side of the house. So if you hold down the Polyline tool, it goes to this one that says draw a freehand polyline. So if you click on that and start on here, let's start here. And this takes a little practice. You'll pick up on it really quick. We'll go to the plant bed layer. Let's just do kind of a freehand bed line like this. Not bad. I wouldn't want to show that on a plan. Let's do another one like here. Tree there. Swing this back out. And then we want something like that. Not the prettiest of lines, but that's okay. Let's say we want to do something here where, like, we'll jump there, come around, and swing in here. Okay, these are guidelines. Now I want to go back and get the real tool, which is this one. And then I'm just going to run and I'm going to snap to where I think those perfect circles would intersect. So here, I'm going to jump like maybe to there, here, and there. And here I'm going to go from like there to here, here, and here. Now I'm going to take off my inference settings. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these out. Push that out, push this out, push this in. If you want to modify this too, you can swing this over a little, bring that in. Okay, tighten this up a little bit. Okay, this one's finished. See how smooth that is? Okay, so let's do this one. Push this out, push this in. You want to make sure you don't have any coat hanger curves where there's weird angles between the circles. Then let's push this one out like this, and let's see how we did on that one. Pretty good. I don't like something about this I don't like. I need to bring this in more. Okay, so that's good. Last one. We're going to push this one out, push this in. So all we're doing is trying to mimic what we did. So this obviously is different here. So what I could do is pull this point all the way out here, maybe like into there, flare this, and get rid of that goofy one. And this I need to push out because I see an angle in there. Same with this. I got to fix this. So, really easy way to make bed lines. Let's get rid of these and pretend we wanted to make a new curved walkway. So let's trim this part of the walk. Oops. Let's trim that part of the walk off. So let's go to our walkway layer and trim the walk out. Okay, get rid of this. All right, so we know we want to end up somewhere 6 feet off the house. So let's give ourselves some tick marks here. So if the door, let's put a step in. 5 foot wide step by 1 foot high, right in the center. So the center, let's just float it over here maybe. Okay, 5 feet. We're going to make this a 5 foot walkway. Check it. Okay, 5 foot. So what I could do is something like this. I could hold this down, go to the freehand polyline, zoom in, and just give myself a curve, just like that. Okay, I don't like that. It's too flat. So we get rid of it, and we go back and we try again. Let's bring it out a little bit more, give it some more curve, and just end it like that. I still don't love it, but that's okay. We'll work with it. So then we go to our normal one, click our inference settings. Let's bring this out straight, kind of like I have. Then we're going to click maybe here, here, and there. And now I'm going to take my inference off because I don't want to snap to this line. I don't want that. I want to control where this thing goes. So I'm going to droop this down like this. Actually, this is going to work out. And maybe like that. So if I get rid of that old line, now I have a pretty nice line. I don't love what's going on here. So let's just make ourselves a way to fix this. So we're going to draw ourselves a guideline and snap this over. Straighten this up. Okay, get rid of that line. Now I just have to offset this by 5 feet. Copy on. So that's a nice smooth walkway. Then if I want to make a flare at the end, I could actually just go maybe to like our dimension tool, see where that radius is of this. Maybe do something like that, and then I'll just take this point, move it down here, push this up here, and now there's a really nice, even though that's not ideal, I would probably want this thing to come down a little bit further and maybe extend these up because that was pretty close to the house. So you can really quickly fix that. Now you have room. I mean, now I'm spending too much time designing, but now you have room to actually plant. So it takes a little bit of practice just to steady your hand to do this. But this is also, actually, here's another really useful thing with this tool. If you do like ground cover beds and you just want to make some areas, you could do the same thing. You can set your increment to like maybe 1 foot increments and just have a kind of a bed line like this. But right before you get to the end, left click and right click, and then take this point and hit this point and tie them together. And now you can left click and right click and you can get your square footage. So if your perennials are going to take up 1 square foot, you know you need to order 841 of them. So use that tool and practice with it. It has really cut down my drawing time of doing bed lines, where before I was doing something like this, where I'd run this out here, I'd run this circle over here, and then I would come back into the house like that, and then I would take the polyline tool and I would go over these circles, then push the circle out, or push the polylines out and get rid of these, and you have a really nice bed line. But this way, you're not having to think as much of where to put those circles. You can just really freehand it quickly like this, and then come back with the right one. Oop, we want inference there, like there, there, there. Whoop, inference off, push this out, push this in, get rid of our old one. And now you have a nice bed line that was just the same as what I did before, but I didn't have to go through so many steps. Then you can really mess around and goof around with the line if you want to, and you know, adjust the curves however you want them. So that's what I have for today. So Joe, at this point, if you want to take some questions, I'd be happy to go over some of those.
Yeah, we do have a few. Ryan has a question, and his go back to the Cartesian array, and he's asking if you could review entering the fractional inches into the dialog box.
Yes. Yeah, and I'll break it down even real simple. So let's do this. Let's get a sheet that is 8.5 by 11. So let's change our sheet size to 8.5. Okay, we're already there. So let's measure our sheet. If it were a property, it is 110 feet by 85 feet. 85 by 10, 11 by 10. So I want to draw a line along this side down to here. And I'm going to draw a line from here over to here. Whoop, that didn't work. Let me fix that. And make sure you draw them really straight. Make sure your constraints are on. I have shift and control down right now, so my constraints are on. Okay, so if we were to, let's just do 10-foot increments. So if this is 8.5 by 11, that's 110 feet. We need 11 lines that make up 110 feet. So I'm going to click on Advanced. I'm going to click this, and then so this is the x-axis, and this is the y. So I want 11 columns, and I want them in 10-foot increments. I'm going to left-click, and I'm going to right-click. So we have 10-foot spaces here. I'm going to escape. And then across the top, we have 85 feet. So I'm going to say I want 9 columns, and I want those 10 feet apart. And then I'm going to left-click on this one, and I'm going to right-click. And there are all of those. So there's where we have our 8.5, because it's 85 feet, and we have 80 plus that. So the same thing goes if you wanted to do them in 1-foot increments. We do the same thing, just we'd have 110 columns at 1 foot apart, and we'd left click and right click. And then the same for up, we have 85 columns in 1-foot increments, and we zoom in and left click and right click. Now we have all of these. Simple as that.
So Ryan has a follow-up, and
okay.
After his follow-up, we'll get on to some other questions.
Mm-hmm.
So he's asking if I want to make a 40-foot 7-inch and 5/8 line, how do I enter that into the dialog box?
Okay, 40-foot 7 and 5/8, right?
Yep.
Okay, we go like this: 40-foot 7 dash 5 divided by 8, enter. Okay? I'm going to do it one more time. I'm typing 40 and then apostrophe or foot, yeah, 40 foot, and then 7, and then the dash sign, 5, and then the divided by sign, 8, enter. And there's my line. So we check it by left clicking and right clicking, and there's our dimension. So it's a bunch of clicks to do it, but it works.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question, Robin has a question about doing that freehand curved line. She's wondering if you can demonstrate that one more time. Not so much the going to the polygon tool when you're facing over, but just the initial line and how to do that.
Okay, so your standard polyline thing that shows up in your draw toolbox says draw a straight or curved polyline. Any of these tools that have little blue triangles in the corner means there's something else hidden back there. And if you hold on them, they show you more things. So when I scroll over to this, draw a freehand polyline, that's what you want. So I click on that. And then all I do is I click with my left mouse, I left click and then let it go. I don't hold down the click button. I just move my mouse all around like this, hoping I'm making somewhat decent circles, and then I go back to my tool and I run these circles out and push these to mimic what I just did. So the important part is this. Do not hold down left click. If I click here and I hold down and I move my mouse, it doesn't go anywhere until I let my finger go, and now I'm all over the place. Okay? It's also something where you could, I don't know. Nah, never mind. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect. So that's, we had a lot of questions, and a lot of them were repeats of those, variations of that. Someone did ask how they would be able to watch this webinar again. We did record this, and I will be posting it to our website. So Patrick, thank you so much for your time.
Sure.
I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day so that you can help us understand how to achieve some efficiencies when it comes to our time, especially being that our time is so important.
Sure. The other, I know you'll probably go over it too, but I just wanted to remind everybody about Mance next week. And Joe, you'll be there. I think Mike will be there. If anybody wants some help or any little tricks or whatever, just come to the booth, bring your laptop. We can sit down and we can spend some time and give you some help.
Yeah, you got it. In fact, I was going there next. So.
Aha! I beat you on this one.
Well, you stole my thunder this time. I think I stole your thunder the last one. Mance is next week. It's in Baltimore. We're going to be there from the 14th to the 16th. If anyone has any questions or is going to be at the show, please stop by and see us. We're going to have a big presence there, and we'd be happy to see you and to meet you. And if you are going to be there, plan to spend some time. Spend about an hour with Patrick, and he can show you just about anything that you need. My name is Joe Salemi. I'm the product marketing manager. You can get a hold of me by calling our 800 number. It's 1-800-710-1900, extension 279. That comes directly to me. And my email address is jsalemi@dynascape.com. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining us today. We are going to have another one in February. Patrick and I are going to put our heads together and have just top the one that we've done and top the ones that we've done in the past. So we'll just keep making them better. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.